feet back and tries to roar back to nail Pacquiao with the right hand. Oh! That's another knockdown!
There are no scorecards that matter once a fighter's eyes roll back.
As well as taking away his energy, and everybody...
Oh!
Now the man is standing, and now he's not.
But falling ever further behind him. Oh, no!
Consciousness-disabling power.
He's got a 15-pound weight advantage. Every time he lands a shot, it's...
Delivered in a single frame before either fighter's brain has time to catch up.
Lewis has still got to beat... Whoa!
Tonight, we're taking you through a gallery of finishes painted across boxing's canvas in the cruelest color there is.
Roy problems. Roy has not found a way still to get a sustained attack against him.
In July of 1986, Mike Tyson was 24-0, ranked number 2 in the world, and hungry in a way that made every opponent look temporary.
Swing around on your opponent's side and crack.
His opponent that night wasn't some nobody. Marvis Frazier, son of the legendary Joe Frazier, trained by his father, a man with a real resume, including 6 straight wins since a loss to Larry Holmes. Just over 5,000 fans packed into Glens Falls, New York, expecting a competitive fight between a rising star and a name with pedigree. It didn't matter. Tyson had him cornered before the crowd finished cheering the opening bell, using his jab to close off every escape route. Frazier's legs gave out mid-punch, his body folding down the ropes like a puppet with the strings cut. The referee started counting, gave up at 5, and just waved it over.
Joe Cortez moves in to have a look, and he's going to stop the fight.
30 seconds. Tyson's fastest knockout ever, and he hadn't even won a title yet. The referee said afterward he could have counted to 20, and Frazier still wouldn't have gotten up. Frazier fought only 3 more times before retiring from the sport for good. 30 seconds wasn't even Tyson's most statement-making finish. His next one came on a much bigger stage, against a man who was supposed to be unbeatable. Michael Spinks, undefeated, the last man recognized as the true lineal heavyweight champion. This fight was billed as the one that would finally settle who was real, and it became the richest bout in boxing history at the time. There was late drama before the bell even rang, with Spinks's camp challenging the padding in Tyson's gloves and forcing a last-minute inspection that only seemed to sharpen his focus. It settled it in 91 seconds.
Up with him. Tyson along the ropes doing damage.
Michael Spinks has to keep moving because every shot...
Uppercut landed inside and Spinks went down.
A left uppercut and a body shot sent him down for the first knockdown of his career. He beat the count, barely, legs wobbling like they belonged to someone else. Tyson closed the distance one more time, and it was over.
Michael Spinks has ever been down in a professional fight.
And he's down again and in serious trouble.
Mike threw a hook into a sweeping right, and Spinks went down flat on his back. He never got up. 10 punches landed in the entire fight. 8 of them were Tyson's. Spinks retired a month later and never fought again. 10 years apart, on a different card entirely, an unbeaten Samoan prospect built like a bank safe was about to make history of his own. The card was billed as Night of the Young Heavyweights, stacked with rising contenders expected to define the division for years to come. Tua had a bronze medal from the 1992 Olympics and a string of brutal early knockouts already behind him.
Don't take any notice of perhaps the little bit of speed.
Goes head-hunting with the left hand and the right hand. Wow, with the right hand. David catches him with an uppercut. Left hand. He's in trouble.
But nobody quite knew what to expect from him at this level yet. Tua needed 19 seconds to end that conversation.
Listed as having a reach advantage here. We'll see how he uses it. Tua with a big left hook and Ruiz in trouble. Tua comes right at him. Another big bomb and Ruiz is down. This could almost be over now.
His trademark left hook found Ruiz almost immediately, staggering him before he could even set his feet. A blur of follow-up hooks finished it, the last one so violent that commentators on the broadcast said, live on air, that nobody had ever done that to Ruiz before. He hit the canvas flat on his back, eyes closed, needing medical staff before he could even leave the ring. 19 seconds, bell to finish. One of the fastest knockouts in modern heavyweight history. And strangely, Ruiz went on to become a 2-time world champion despite the beating. Tua kept knocking people out for years afterward, including future title holders.
Fire back. He scored with 3 in a row. Tua continues to work along the sides. Good uppercut by Tua.
world title of his own always stayed just out of reach. Speed ends fights before they start. But some of the most brutal knockouts in history happened the opposite way. Punches that only landed after a fighter had already been given up for being beaten, after every judge at ringside had basically written the result. Julian Jackson understood that better than almost anyone. He wasn't just a hard puncher, he was a man who could erase an entire fight with one mistake from his opponent. It had already happened to two other world champions before Graham, both blown out early by a single Jackson power shot when they thought the fight was still theirs to control.
Incredible knockout ratio of Jackson. Whoa! And then right to that, Terry And Payton is still firing back. Oh, a big left hand. Oh, a tremendous left hand.
He'd just come back from surgery to repair detached retinas in both eyes, moving up from super welterweight to middleweight for this shot at the vacant title. In November of 1990, Herol Graham had him. Beaten for 3.5 rounds straight, moving, countering, making Jackson miss so badly he stumbled across the ring chasing shadows.
A good opening round for Herol Graham. I can't firing on all cylinders from round one. Great stuff. Oh, it's as confident and as positive a start.
Jackson's eye was swelling shut, and the ringside doctor had already warned his corner. One more bad round, and it was over.
I think the doctor says maybe just give him one more round or something. It could well be. That's the position.
Graham was ahead on every scorecard and needed only to survive. Instead, he pressed forward, looking to close the show early. That was the mistake Jackson needed.
But falling ever further behind him. Oh no! That's what we were worried about.
A counter right hand, thrown up and over Graham's lazy left lid, crashed flush into his jaw. Graham's body froze in the air for a split second before he dropped straight down, unconscious before he even hit the canvas. He stayed on the mat for nearly 5 minutes, a fight won in the very last second of what should have been a clear loss, one of boxing's greatest reversals. Patience like that isn't just a middleweight trick. A heavyweight would prove the exact same point on a much bigger stage, except this one had a decade of history riding on it, and the whole world had already written him off. George Foreman, wearing the same red trunks he'd worn 20 years earlier against Muhammad Ali in Zaire, walked in chasing a piece of unfinished business. He'd been out of the sport for a decade before returning in his late 30s, written off by almost everyone, and had already lost his previous title shot on points. He was getting outboxed by Michael Moorer for 9 straight rounds, absorbing far more than he was landing.
In this fight, you know, this ring could have been 10 feet square. And he thinks he'll do it by standing in front of him and trading shots.
Down on every scorecard, by any reasonable measure, about to lose the biggest fight of his comeback and likely retire on a loss. His trainer told him plainly before round 10, it would take a knockout to win, and Foreman had spent the whole fight setting up one specific pattern, a jab to get inside, then a straight right hand behind it. In round 10, it finally connected clean.
We go again with the Atlas. Michael Moore is down, goes Moore on a right hand.
Moorer dropped straight onto his back. He lifted his head at the count of 5, tried to push himself up, and was still on his knees when the referee reached 10. George Foreman became the oldest heavyweight champion in history at 45. One punch, set up over 9 rounds of patience, erased 20 years of unfinished business. 20 years earlier, almost to the week, Ali had ended Foreman's night the exact same way, one knockout answering another across 2 decades.
This time he worked over the shoulder of Foreman.
Foreman's knockout came from a decade of patience, finally cashing in on one punch. Manny Pacquiao didn't need patience at all, just 2 rounds and a combination that never gave Ricky Hatton a chance to reset. Manny Pacquiao against Ricky Hatton, May of 2009, in front of 25,000 British fans who'd flown in expecting a war. Hatton came in as the reigning light welterweight champion with only 1 loss on his record, a genuine world-class fighter at the peak of his popularity. Hatton had questioned whether Pacquiao could really handle his pressure and volume, insisting his style was built to break exactly the kind of fighter Pacquiao was supposed to be.
Very exciting. We both go for the knockout. I make no bones about my tactics. Front foot from the first bell.
Hatton tried to do what always worked for him, close the distance, fight in tight, wear his opponent down with volume. Pacquiao read the whole plan from the opening bell. A sharp right hook dropped Hatton to one knee before the first round gong even went off.
Oh,
A straight left put him down a second time before the round ended.
Hatton's in trouble again. Final 10 seconds of round one and Hatton's down.
Somehow Hatton got up both times and came out swinging for round two.
Hatton knocked Pacquiao off balance with that shot, but Hatton is still rocking.
It didn't last.
Always a little better than I thought. Oh, my God!
With under 10 seconds left in the round, Pacquiao threw a perfect left hook that came up low and caught Hatton flush on the jaw. He was out before he hit the canvas, flat on his back in the center of the ring. The referee didn't even bother counting. He just waved it off. Not every mismatch in this sport comes from two evenly matched killers colliding. Sometimes the danger is a fighter caught between weight classes he has no business being in. Arturo Gatti built his career on wars fans still talk about.
Now more so than the body punch.
The knockout he scored against Joey Gamache in 2000 is the one nobody's comfortable celebrating. Gamache was a legitimate former two-division world champion, a veteran with wins over solid opposition throughout the 90s. Gatti himself was in the middle of a rebuild after a rough stretch of losses, looking for a signature win to re-establish himself as a contender. Gamache made the contracted weight the day before the fight. By fight night, Gatti had rehydrated 19 pounds heavier, allowed off the scale before officials could properly confirm it. The size gap showed instantly. A straight right hand dropped Gamache just over a minute into round one.
Gamache was born and raised in Lewiston, Maine, a name with its own colorful place in boxing.
He rose at the count of 4, clearly hurt, and Gatti swarmed him with hooks to the head and body.
And Thunder Gatti closes in, hoping to finish, and Gamache lands a blistering left hook. The left hook by Gamache momentarily stopped Gatti in his tracks.
He's trying to pull a Gatti.
It carried into round 2, where a combination left Gamache unconscious in the ring.
He's also looks so much bigger than he does.
Yeah, and he's got a 15-pound weight advantage. Every time he lands a shot,
He was hospitalized for a week and never fought again. A lawsuit against the Athletic Commission followed, and the court found the weigh-in had been mishandled, though Gamache never saw a dime in damages. Strip away the controversy, and this is what that same kind of relentless combination looks like when the matchup is completely fair. The fight with Donaire 3 years earlier had gone the full 12 rounds, a genuine classic that tested Inoue for the first time in his career and left him with a fractured orbital bone and a broken nose. The rematch went nothing like the first fight. Late in round 1, a clean right hand to the head put Donaire flat on the canvas, and he barely had time to recover before the bell saved him.
The fighters are still warming up.
Round 2 started, and Inoue never let up. And although Donaire beat the count, he was in no shape to continue. The referee stopped it at 124 of round 2. 2 rounds, a handful of clean, heavy shots, and one of the most decorated champions in the sport's history had absolutely nothing left to offer. Donaire kept fighting for years afterward, but that night belonged entirely to Inoue. Combinations don't always come from a technician picking a fighter apart. Sometimes it's just pure size and speed colliding, and a heavyweight who barely got to show it off on the biggest stages. April of 2000, Madison Square Garden. Lennox Lewis, the undisputed heavyweight champion, defended his titles against Michael Grant, an undefeated 6'7" prospect many believed was the future of the division, a fighter who'd knocked out Andrew Golota in his last outing to earn this shot. It lasted less than 2 rounds. Lewis landed a strong right hand to the top of Grant's head that put him down for the first time, the challenger's size doing nothing to slow the shot. Grant beat the count but was clearly hurt, and Lewis kept coming.
Lewis lands a right hand on the top of the head. Grant trying to fire back.
Dropping him again before the round ended, then a third time with a left-right combination in the final seconds.
Lewis has still got to beat. That should do it.
Somehow Grant survived to hear the bell. It didn't matter. Lewis opened round 2 looking for the finish, and with 23 seconds left, a short right uppercut sent Grant down for a 4th and final time.
And for the moment, Lewis looks punched out.
He couldn't beat the count. 4 knockdowns in barely 5 minutes of fighting, delivered by a champion who rarely got to show off this kind of finishing power on the biggest stages, reminding the division exactly why he'd been unbeaten for years at the top. Combinations end fights. But some knockouts don't need a flurry at all. They just need one man's entire aura, built over a decade, to collide with a single opponent who refuses to be intimidated by it. Roy Jones Jr. had never been seriously hurt in his career. His only loss came by disqualification, not by anyone actually beating him. Fans mentioned his name next to Sugar Ray Robinson without much argument. He'd cleaned out an entire division, beaten future champions with ease, and even moved up to win a heavyweight title on top of it.
I carry you there because of the style of the opponent or whatever.
Shane Mosley learned that last Saturday night.
In May of 2004, Antonio Tarver stepped in for a rematch after taking Jones the full 12 rounds months earlier in a closely scored first meeting. Jones came forward the way he always had, supremely confident, treating Tarver like every other name he'd dismantled over a 15-year career. One perfectly timed left hook found his jaw clean, and Jones's legs went dead beneath him.
Roy has not found a way still to get a sustained attack against him.
He stumbled right under the ropes, dealing with the traumatic shock his brain just received. The referee stopped it before finishing a count, technically making the official result a TKO instead of a full knockout. An aura can die in a single frame like that. It can also take 4 fights and 36 rounds of accumulated frustration to finally break, which is exactly what happened the next time these two names collided. Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao had already gone 36 rounds across 3 fights, splitting a decision, a draw, and a decision many thought Marquez deserved. Their 4th meeting was billed as the one that would finally settle the rivalry for good, with both men well into their 30s and their era of dominance nearing its end. Marquez had spent years publicly insisting the 3rd fight should have gone his way, that the judges had cost him what he'd earned in the ring, and Marquez started to feel blood after that right swing. Marquez kept waiting round after round for one clean opening. In round 6, Pacquiao surged forward trying to close the show. Marquez timed a single right hand perfectly, thrown exactly as Pacquiao stepped into range.
How close Pacquiao has gotten to him. Marquez was off balance again. Now gets his feet back and tries to roar back to nail Pacquiao with the right hand.
Pacquiao went down face first, unconscious before his body hit the mat. There was no count. Medical staff rushed in immediately as the arena fell into stunned silence. It remains one of the most replayed knockouts in the sport's history. One punch that finally ended years of unfinished business between 2 future Hall of Famers. Winning a fight and finishing it clean are 2 different things. As another fighter found out, despite being ahead on the cards when he ran into a single shot he never saw coming. Canelo Alvarez versus Amir Khan, May of 2016, wasn't supposed to be this one-sided on paper. Khan had moved up 2 full weight divisions to challenge for Alvarez's middleweight title, a bold and risky leap in class. Khan's speed and movement were a real problem in the early rounds, and he was actually ahead on 2 of the 3 scorecards heading into round 6, outboxing the bigger man with sharp combinations and quick feet.
Gonna have to wear him down some before he hurts him, Jim.
Alvarez kept walking him down anyway, cutting off the ring and looking for one chance to land clean. In round 6, he found it.
With body shots, as well as taking away his energy, and every...
A single long right hand caught Khan flush on the chin, and his legs simply stopped working. He went down flat on his back in the center of the ring, out cold before he landed. Referee Kenny Bayless didn't bother counting. The fight was over the moment Khan hit the canvas. It took one punch out of nearly 200 thrown that night to end a fight Khan had genuinely been winning. Not every knockout on this list ends with just a highlight reel. One of them carries a cost that outlasts the fight itself, one that followed a fighter long after the arena lights went dark. Nigel Benn and Gerald McClellan met in London in February of 1995, 2 feared punchers, and the opening seconds set the tone for everything that followed. McClellan came in as a heavy favorite, having finished 21 of his last 22 fights by knockout, most of them inside the first round. Before the fight, McClellan had told reporters, "I get a greater buzz from a knockout than I do from sex. Getting the power on, watching an opponent fall, there isn't another experience to compare with it." Nobody in that arena knew how differently the night would end. end. McClellan knocked Benn clean through the ropes within the first minute.
McClellan from the opening bell, but he could be playing into McClellan's hands.
He's letting him punch. He's in trouble. He's out
down.
The ring.
Seconds into the fight, he's through the ropes.
Benn survived, and what followed was a grinding war that shifted back and forth for 10 rounds. Both men traded big shots round after round, refusing to back down in what many still call one of the greatest fights of the decade.
Still out, 11,000 strong, cheering from the outset. A left and a right by Benn. That sends McClellan backpedaling. He comes out with a left hook.
Those were punches.
Well, McClellan's up there with McClellan.
Whoa, that's the way to get disqualified.
He's been upset with the referee all night.
Now, that looks like...
McClellan, exhausted from the pace he himself had set, began to fade as the rounds wore on. Benn dropped him twice in round 10, and McClellan, unable to beat the count on one knee, was ruled out.
We should not get confident.
Right hand by Benn, just as you say that. And McClellan goes down to one knee. It came out of nowhere. Everybody on their feet, 11,000 strong. Exhorting Benn.
That's what we're talking about, what he can't afford to do.
He goes down.
McClellan sat in his corner, battling with pain. He got hit so many times in the back of his head that it couldn't go unnoticed.
When the doctor's up there, what has happened to Gerald McClellan?
He later collapsed in that same ring and was rushed into emergency surgery to remove a blood clot from his brain. He spent close to 2 weeks in a coma. He survived, but the fight cost him his sight, most of his hearing, and his ability to walk without help. It's remembered as one of the great wars in the sport's history, and as a permanent reminder of what boxing can take from the men who step into the ring. Benn could dish it out just as brutally as he could take it. The Dark Destroyer wasn't just the man who ended Gerald McClellan's night. He'd also been on the wrong end of exactly this kind of finish himself. November of 1990, Birmingham. Nigel Benn was undefeated at 22-0, every single win by knockout, a puncher so feared they called him the Dark Destroyer. Chris Eubank was the unproven, flamboyant challenger nobody gave much of a chance, a man whose personality outside the ring rarely matched the violence he was capable of inside it. The fight turned into a genuine war almost immediately. In round 4, Eubank took a vicious uppercut that split his tongue open, and he hid the injury from his own corner, rather than risk a doctor stopping the fight, swallowing blood for the rest of the night rather than give up his chance at the title.
He said he could do the business, well he's mixing it in the World Cup. But that was a lovely...
Benn's eye was swollen shut by round 5, and in round 8, an overhand right put Eubank on the canvas.
Professes to be a master of the noble art. Oh, what? Almost.
He was up quickly, claimed it was a slip, and finished the round strongly regardless. Round 9 turned into chaos. Benn dropped Eubank early with a left hook.
Eubank just a little bit negative.
Well, that punch landed on the...
But Eubank got back to his feet, found his range, and unloaded a left-right combination followed by a left hook that staggered Benn badly.
I think he was falling for that.
That was Benn.
Oh, what a shot that
Shot
is.
really shaker.
Opened him up with the left hand and then shot the right hand over and it connected. There's the countdown.
Benn tried to hold on, but a straight right sent him stumbling.
Pooched him.
Benn is shaking. The eyes watch Reg. This will be the finish of the belt.
And it's all over in the 9th.
The referee stepped in with 5 seconds left in the round, calling it the most dramatic fight he'd ever worked. Eubank walked away with the WBO title, and a rivalry that would define British boxing for the next decade was born in that single, brutal exchange between two men who genuinely hated each other. Boxing's got no shortage of nights like these still buried in the archives, footage that never got the spotlight it deserved, and knockouts most casual fans have never even heard of.
Hammer, and here in round 1, he is Ragnar-rocking Stavern!
Doing exactly what he needed to do, what I was asking him to do, and he's going for broke, and he's having some...
That's really the whole idea behind putting a list like this together, digging up the ones worth remembering and putting them back in front of people who never got the chance to see them the first time. Every fighter on this list walked in believing he had rounds to work with, time to adjust, time to recover. All it took was one mistake, one clean opening, and the whole night changed in less time than it takes to blink.
With body shots, as well as taking away his energy, and everybody...
So if tonight's carnage did it for you, do us a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep loving boxing. Until the next one.
I carry you there because of the style of the opponent or whatever.
Shane Mosley learned that on Saturday night.
Back to nail Pacquiao with the right hand. Oh!